What's up, you radical human? Can you smell that? That is the smell of clean, fresh, breathable air. Today, I am talking to Mike, the founder of Jasper, perhaps the world's best air scrubbing and cleaning device. So we have a conversation first about what is wrong with our air. Why is it so bad inside of our homes? What is happening with mold and mycotoxins and PFAs, and actually even cooking in your home can disrupt the air microbiome and make you sick. It can be robbing you of health and focus and vitality and recovery. And Jasper is the solution to that, to clean your air and what the implications could be for your recovery, your hormone health, what that could do to your focus, your family, even in the broad spectrum of what it could do if we got this stuff into healing places like hospitals and schools. Mike's energy is through the roof, and he knows a lot about air quality. Some stuff will surprise you, and there's a really nice discount at the end of this episode if you're interested in picking up a Jasper. So let's get into the show, and let's all breathe some clean air. Mike, welcome into the studio, my friend. We were chatting a little bit off air, and one of the things I always think about when I think about air, and this is for the Americans, the air quality. But the air quality is that it's invisible. We don't see it, so we don't think about it too much. So we spend a lot of time thinking about the obvious things, how we feed ourselves every day, all the way down to our information diet, things that we're consuming, a movement, sunlight, nature, all of that stuff. And then air is the one that just kind of slips out. Why should we be thinking about air quality, and why is it so important, particular indoor air quality?
And like, why aren't we thinking about it is what's interesting. You know, so often humans are really bad at prevention. We're really good at waiting till things are so broken and then overreacting for the fix. We're really good at that. So, you know, people don't realize that they're overweight until they're 100 pounds overweight, or that their mobility sucks until they can't move at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, when people only notice air quality when it's like wildfire smoke,
Mm-hmm.
when millions of acres are burning, then you can see it. So you can see it sometimes when it's super acute and you need to get out of the smoke. You
Mm-hmm.
can see it, you can smell it, you can feel it, but you have no perception of it in the more moderate ranges. So I think back, you know, the first thing you do when you're born is you take your first breath, baby's first breath. Last thing you do before you die, you take your last breath. And hunger is a useful sensor that says, you know, some people, if they never fast, can't tell the difference between
Mm-hmm.
hunger and distracted eating,
Mm-hmm.
desire to eat. But hungry, let me go get some food. There's a clear reaction for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thirst, let me go get some water.
Mm-hmm.
And we still, most of us, are quite dehydrated. With air, it is so core and fundamental to our existence. First of all, we live in air, whereas water and food, I mean, we are made of water and food, but they also live outside of us. We literally live in air. Between the surface of the earth, you know, you have about 10 kilometers of ocean, about 10 kilometers of breathable air, and then you have thousands and thousands of kilometers and miles of a hot rock, thin layer of water, thin layer of air. And we are so blessed to be able to exist in this finite little airspace that exists for us. And then outside is the infinite vacuum of space. So it is so finite. Air has only been on Earth for about 200 million years. Before that, there was no life. So to me, air is basically life itself.
Mm-hmm.
Without air, we have nothing. And all night long, when you sleep for hopefully 8 hours a night or so, there's no food, there's no water.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing sustaining you in your sleep is air. So it's so core to your existence that your body can even do it without you. And unfortunately, what's happened now is we've taken that for granted, and we've completely ignored it, and we've started to pollute, and we've built homes that are basically Tupperware containers and suffocatingly tight areas that can't breathe. So if you think about a river flowing, like a nice spring-fed river, when the water is moving, the water is generally quite clean and quite safe. When it stagnates in a pond, that's when we have algae and bugs and turtles, and well, I like turtles, but you know, it gets infested and it becomes a sick pond. So outdoor, when you feel the wind, that is the rivers of air flowing, and most homes these days and buildings are basically ponds. So that's why we have the pollutants building up and the mold and the bacteria. All these things aren't an issue outside with sun, wind, rain, trees. That's God's air purifier. It works great. But we've built these airtight containers and we've left nature outside, and now we've got a problem.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like it's kind of similar to the philosophy of how to think about food for the most part that nature knows. Like, eat God food, eat earth-grown nutrients, the things that have been here for a long time, hold the ancestral wisdom and keys that unlock health. And you're right, it's like the earthing has been forgotten. It's something I just kind of like became aware of a couple of years ago. First, I spend a lot of my time outside, and I love being outdoors. But I realized that almost all the time we spent indoors, like all of the doors were closed, all of the windows were closed, and I've been a lot more conscious about opening windows and such these days to just let some of that natural air and light and all of those things in. But you mentioned some of the things that can get trapped in these houses, and probably building materials and architecture and all of that stuff modern and in the modern way that we're doing things is exacerbating these problems. Mold being a big one that is often talked about in the health space now. What are some of the most common problems inside of the homes, and what could be the consequences of being in a home that doesn't have natural flow of air?
What I'm excited about here too is when as the air guy, when I talk to water or food people who are deeply focused on that, the awarenesses of each of them are just overlap tremendously, and you start to see each of them more clearly when you kind of understand the other ones. Like, thinking about the way you guys are talking about soil and the ancestral nature of the food, and eating natural food as close to the way it was intended to be.
Right. And
this is the same with air. So I would love to see a world in 100 years from now where you don't need air purifiers at all, because we are kinder to the trees, we stop polluting better, we get cleaner sources of energy, and breathe the air as it was intended. Like we were talking before about camping. When you go camping, when you go into the mountains, air is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And then you feel awesome. You feel energized because you're the same way you talk about God food, that's the God air. And then you come back into an urban environment or even a rural environment where they're spraying crops. And then the worst environment is our homes. So what's in the air in your home? Why is it a problem? So indoor air is typically 5 to 10 times dirtier than outdoor air because it's those ponds. It's ponds instead of rivers. And that's where the problem lies. So the reason why you don't go outside and see mold growing on your car or on your driveway or dust accumulating is because nature's air filter takes care of that. Indoors, we've built our homes so tight, we left the nature out. So now mold wants to grow to survive. It's not trying to wreak havoc on you. It's trying to escape. It doesn't like that you've trapped it in a little box. Dust accumulates. Dust is also a symptom of poor air. So you want to have clean air and you want to have fresh air, which is why you still want to open up the windows or have an HVAC system that is breathing and ventilating, because the HVAC system is the lungs of your home. And if it's choked up and suffocated, it's not, if your home's not breathing, you're not breathing. So in a common home environment, you got mold prevalent, and 90% of the time it's not mold that you can see, it's airborne levels of mold. Then you have pollen and allergens. Tennessee, Texas, honestly, most of the country has pretty high levels of allergens of varying types of plants. Once again, the allergies wouldn't normally impact people if they were outside a lot, but because you're trapped in this little toxic box 95% of the time, your ability to process it is not good. You're in the pond all the time. So that's why allergens start impacting you. And if we test your carpet, your bed, your furniture, there's typically higher levels of pollen inside than outside, because it comes inside and it's trapped in all the fibers. It's not being filtered out by the wind and the rain and everything. So you have all these toxin pollutants coming in from outside. Then you have indoor stuff. You have the off-gassing from your paints, from your furniture, from your chairs, your cleaning products, cooking itself. Even if you have the best organic, grass-fed, grass-finished steak with high-quality oils or beef tallow, it's still polluting your air, because when you have high heat and protein, it creates PAH, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which is quite cancer-causing of its own. So there was no problem, and a lot of other off-gassing byproducts too. So it's not that the food you're using was a problem, or that the oils that you're using were necessarily a problem. Even if you have that dialed in, it still deeply pollutes your air. Because cooking indoors, like, just look at a barbecue. Like, cooking is very aggressive to the air. That's why you can smell it. And then same thing, it gets embedded in all your materials. So outside, amazing. But doing it in an airtight box, not so good.
How did you learn about all this? When did you get fascinated about air and the birth synergy story of Jasper?
How random that I became the air guy.
The air guy.
Or an air guy. So it started about I'm 35. So in my early 20s, I discovered mold remediation by having friends in that space. I was in online marketing and all kinds of other businesses and finding my way. And this was the beginning of what they used to call the mold rush, where mold is gold. The mold rush, we thought it was the mold rush back then. It's the mold rush now. Like 10, 12 years ago, mold was not mainstream. If you look at the search volume of mold on like Google Trends, like mold is having its moment. And it's convenient for people because a lot of people are sick and they don't know why. And then there's this villain that is unseen most of the time. You go and get your blood or your urine tested. It says you got the mold. You get your home tested. It says you got the mold. Because you think you finally found it. And now if I just rip my whole house apart and gut it, maybe then I will be healed. But the truth is, like, mold is omnipresent. If we test the air inside or outside right now for mold, mold is everywhere. There's going to be heavy metals. There's going to be allergens. There's going to be mold. It's not an on-off, black or white thing. It's a lot more nuanced than that. How well do you detox it? How much are you outside? How allergic to you are to specific species of mold? So to me, it started with my curiosity about mold and the business of mold. And I realized, holy shit, these companies are charging tens of thousands of dollars. If you call a demolition company to gut your bathroom, it's like $1,000 or $2,000. But if there's a couple inches of mold and you call the mold man, it's $10,000. It's the same thing. All you're doing is you're spending an extra few hours to set up 6 mil poly to isolate the room. You're putting air scrubbers inside and outside, and you're using an antimicrobial spray to clean it, and you're using a HEPA vacuum. But generally, it's almost the same as demolition. But because the fear is higher, the price goes up 5x. So it started from a curiosity of, whoa, could you do a better job? Do you have to charge that much? But it seemed like a good opportunity. You know, the truth is it seemed like a really good, why go into construction and demolition when you could do mold instead? It just seemed like a much better way to have a good life and a good business. And it was in my early 20s and I was very attracted to that. And then mold led to fire. So for everybody out there that doesn't know, I spent my background for several years doing wildfires, floods, hurricane cleanup, huge toxic mold events. So we weren't really like your kitchen fire, your bathroom leak mold guys. We were, if Hurricane Harvey in Houston, California wildfires, big disasters in Canada, we were going to the biggest disasters in North America and rebuilding and fixing and cleaning homes there. So when you do that, you test the air. Whenever you're doing mold removal, you're supposed to. Most people don't. You test the mold before, during, and after. And some of the cleanest air I would ever experience was after the mold removal when we had our scrubbers, our industrial scrubbers running for 4 or 5 days. So that was a very kind of profound awakening of, holy shit, the air is incredibly good after these disasters. Then I went to a wildfire in 2016 in Fort McMurray. Biggest fire in Canadian history, 100,000 people evacuated, 5,000 homes burnt. And when you have these big events, it's not just that the millions of acres burnt, but when thousands of homes and cars and chemicals burn, it's a different kind of toxic soup. And man, I got to know some doctors there and pediatricians. They were slammed. So everybody's stuff, if you were used to 1 asthma attack a week, you were going to have 4 a night. If you had autoimmune, you were flared up. If you had respiratory, jacked up. Just the amount of toxin load that was in the air jacked up everything. And then I got to see that, whoa, air quality was actually bad for months after a wildfire. And I was able to contrast the machines that we were using were called air scrubbers. Super effective, but they were loud, ugly, massive machines. And then I compared them to the little air purifiers you see at Best Buy, Walmart, Home Depot, Amazon, a few $100, little plastic boxes that don't move any air. And in contrast, they do nothing. I was only able to have the awareness that these little consumer products do nothing because of the industrial machines I was using. So I started to, put air scrubbers in my home, very loud, very ugly, not wife approved at all, but like people would come in and be like blown away. And then I started to it was one step at a time. It wasn't like this one big moment, but my air awareness came through the restoration, decontaminating homes from floods, fires, mold. It's always a 2-pronged approach. You're always cleaning the surface and you're cleaning the air. And most people are wiping counters, they're mopping, they're vacuuming, they're cleaning windows, but they're not cleaning the air itself. So it's like if you have a swimming pool, do you jump in the pool and scrub the pool with brushes and sponges, or do you get a water filter and circulate the water? So our homes, we're constantly wiping surfaces down and completely neglecting the air itself, which is the stuff that we live in. So it's been a very gradient experience that started from seeing the worst air and then realizing, wait a second, normal indoor air sucks too, and maybe we could do something about this.
That's interesting. Yeah. As you're speaking, I'm thinking about this idea that unless you use a filter, you become the filter.
Yeah.
And that's for things like water and food to a degree. And now, and when I said, when you were coming in about the filters, you corrected me and you said it's a scrubber. What's the difference there between a filter and a scrubber?
The difference between a filter and a scrubber, it's kind of like a toaster oven versus an oven.
Okay.
They both work similar, but the scale is
Yeah.
different. You know, an oven, it's like a Texas barbecue versus a regular barbecue.
Yeah.
Which here they're called just grills. Those
Right.
are barbecues come up behind trucks.
Right.
So really, a scrubber is similar to an air purifier in the sense that there's a filter, and it filters all the mold and the pollen and the toxins out of the air and lets the clean air pass through. But a purifier is typically a very small machine, you know, like an air freshener. It's purifying. It really doesn't move the needle. So if you have it would need to be run. You would need 5 or 6 air purifiers to do the job of one scrubber.
Right.
So Jasper was built by me, has a mold restoration guy like, hey, I want a machine that's made from steel, that moves a lot of air, that works great, that's industrial, that has a 25-year lifespan, not a 1-year lifespan, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no apps, no EMF, just pure steel, big filter, big motor, big fan, 4 ingredients.
Yeah.
Just simple. It's not about the new, you know, you mentioned the brand Molecule before. Their whole thing was like, HEPA's been around for 70 years. It's ancient technology. You know, we didn't even have computers back then. So it's ancient and it's old. And my position is like wood, steel, soil. There's a lot of things that are old and still great today. Not everything needs to have a technological revolution. We just needed the awareness to make the product better. So a scrubber is a badass air purifier that's very industrial in its nature. And what makes Jasper unique is we made the world's first scrubber that's beautiful and quiet, wife approved. You know, we like beautiful design and we like things that are effective.
Yeah.
So that is what a scrubber is, and that's why we make sure that we call Jasper a scrubber, because it's more similar to the machines I was using for flood, fire, and remediation than it is the little $1.99 plastic boxes that you would get on Amazon.
Cool. Yeah. And it is beautiful too. You brought one in the studio. I'm looking at it right now. And I went out to go to the bathroom and I came back in and it was like placed in the middle of the room. And I think I said, ooh, it just makes you want to go, ooh, it's sleek. It's cool. And it looks like it does the job. And I'm curious, what do you think is the most slept on aspect? What could people expect if they, or maybe how quickly would somebody recognize if they put something like a Jasper in the home? What would they maybe notice that they otherwise weren't recognizing before?
All right. Well, and that's so basically here in Austin, we deliver Jaspers to basically anybody. Anyone who buys a Jasper in Austin, we'll personally text you and reach out to you. We come to your home, we test your air, we set up Jasper for you. Eventually, we'd love to do this in more places.
Yeah.
But, you know, perfect it here first. So typically what happens is we go into someone's bedroom. First, we test the outdoor air. Let's say there's 100,000 particles or 50,000 particles floating around. Then we go into their bedroom where there's 200,000 and we show them and they go, look, outdoor air, indoor air, your air. And then you give them the awareness of coming from outside to inside. So that was already air awareness number 1. Has nothing to do with Jasper. Then when we set up Jasper in their bedroom, typically within about 15 minutes in a bedroom sized room, we can get the air about 20 times cleaner. So they can see it because we have our laser particle counter to show them. Then they see that if you look at the vent with the HVAC furnace air blowing, we show you there, hey, it's the same dirty air in the home. Then you look at the air above the Jasper, you see it's basically all zeros. Most air purifiers don't get close to zero when you see what's coming out of them. So, and if all of a sudden 70% of the detox in your body happens in your lungs. So when your body's breathing in mold and pollen and allergens and insect parts and dust mite and skin cells and hair particulate and pollution, it's super hard for your body to heal and recover itself. So I like to say Jasper is not what's healing you. You're healing yourself. And that's a lot easier if you're not breathing all that shit in.
Totally.
So the profound impacts that we see the most of are, so a really one that just makes my heart sing is snoring. My sister Sarah, this one's close to home. Her husband John, he's been snoring for years, to the point where they're in their mid-30s to late 30s and they already got a sleep divorce. So she'd either try to get to bed before him. As soon as he starts snoring, she's out of there. And I'm like, something tells me in my gut that the downstream consequences of not sharing a bed, this is not a good thing. Jasper in the bedroom on fan speed 2, lights off, so there's no ambient light at all. No snoring. Hasn't snored in a couple of years. They went to San Antonio for the weekend, didn't bring the Jasper, snored. So he's been doing some early testing with an app called Snore Lab. And on his nights where he uses the Jasper, on average, he's sleeping he's snoring 7 to 9 minutes. Without Jasper, 2.5 hours.
Wow.
We gave 150 people Jaspers last year who have been tracking their sleep with Aura for years. Yeah. The average person slept 25 minutes more per night with 18% more deep sleep.
Wow.
So how fast? Instantly that night, especially. The 80-20 here is you want to dial in your sleep sanctuary.
Yeah.
If you spend a third of your life sleeping and that's your healing time, and I reframed sleep to healing time. Sleep feels like a dormant term, like I'm turning off. But healing time, I'm like, ooh, when you're sick, you wake up the next day healed.
Right.
That's the state in which we heal. So how can you heal in the place that made you sick that's filled with all that crap? So when you turn your bedroom into a clean air sanctuary, if you're using fan speed 2 or 3, you also now have that gentle white noise, not from a speaker, from actual air itself, like wind in nature, being filtered. That's breathing the air that nature intended you to breathe. So cedar fever and allergens are often gone because you're breathing those pollen and mold 24 hours a day. When you can heal for 8 of those hours a day, you build your toxin burden comes way down and you become way more resilient. You can handle mold and pollen. You can walk by a construction site where they're doing asphalt and you're fine. It's the constant beatdown when you have no time to rest and recover. Yeah. So sleep's going to be huge. People have any allergies, mold stuff, skin things. It's all, and I love that we're talking to your audience today because everything that you already know about food, if you have a Big Mac today, you won't die tonight. If people who aren't aware of their food, they're just going to be going about their regular life, eating crappy food, drinking soda, not even noticing a difference. Only once you start eating and drinking clean do you realize how shitty food makes you feel. Yeah. You tap into it. So when you tap into the one bad thing about having a Jasper in your bedroom is you will become an air snob. So all of a sudden you're gonna feel dust particulate loads and you're gonna notice you already probably, and if you eat clean, you're already on this path where you're already smelling the Ubers and you can't stand them and the scents and the fresheners. So when you start sleeping with nature air, you start really becoming sensitive to these things.
Yeah, I love that. I think you're dead on. I call it like the bed of nails analogy. If you've slept your entire life on a bed of nails, you just think that's normal. And then some magical moment, somebody's like, here's a organic bamboo Tempur-Pedic, blah, blah, blah. And you get on that and you're like, oh, that's what it can feel like. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And I think you probably answered this question with the reframe of sleep being this like offline, kind of boring, not so sexy, to this regenerative healing phase. So would you say that the most important place to place a Jasper in your home is in the bedroom just to optimize that sleep?
Undeniably. Yeah. If you cook a lot, one in the living room area on smart mode is great because every time you cook, it'll be awesome here. We're going to leave a few more for you guys behind here today. But every time you cook, you're like, in my home, even if we're cooking in the kitchen, baby's room, 70 feet away on the opposite end of the home, that Jasper's red too. Yeah. You don't realize that air, just like water, if you took a bathtub and you dropped 5 drops of red food coloring it, that within seconds, there's no longer are those 5 food coloring drops there. The whole water is a little bit red. If we burn incense in the corner, you will smell it throughout the whole home. You can't see it, but it's mixing in very quickly throughout the whole body of air. Yes. So that's why bedroom number 1, dial in, make your clean air sanctuary. That's where it's undeniable for you. Beyond that, the living room, kitchen area, if you cook a lot, having it on smart mode, so then it's dead silent. There's a Jasper 8 feet from us now. I can't hear it at all. So that's its general state, but when you're cooking, it's going to automatically kick up. You'll see it go from green to red. Also on the screen, it shows you how many particulates are in the air. So you'll see that different oils and different foods and different cleaning products will spike Jasper. So if you're using really healthy cleaning products, non-toxic, Jasper won't budge. But if you're using Walgreens, CVS, off the shelf stuff, Jasper's gonna let you know real quick.
Yeah. And it kind of like the way a body would work in a similar vein, what you've been talking about. The more junky inputs you put in, the quicker it's going to burn out, right? Like, and with a Jasper, this is like new to me really, but it's sucking the air in, it's pulling the air in,
from
then
the ground.
then it's cleaning it and filtering it, and then it's spitting the cleaner out the other side of it, right? So is this,
and the poop stays in the filter,
so the filters have to be cleaned or replaced at X amount of time.
Filter.
Okay,
people do clean filters. You shouldn't. If you clean a filter, you vacuum it, and then you look at it under a microscope, all those tight pleats that were keeping all those microscopic pores out, that pleat's now pulled apart. So we replace the filter every 6 months.
Okay.
Also, the carbon dies after 6 months. So you have the HEPA filter. That's what's capturing all of the mold, the dust, the particulates, the bacteria, the things you could see under a microscope. The carbon is what's absorbing the gases and the odors and the VOCs. VOCs are volatile organic compounds. That's, your paints. There's freaking fire retardants in kids' pajamas now.
Yeah.
So all that stuff doesn't stay on those surfaces. It all goes into your air. So the idea is Jasper, the heaviest particles are floating to the floor. The reason that it's 360 degrees is so you can put it against the wall or in the corner. If you have one of the ones that blows in on one side and out the other, it has to sit in the middle of the room. It doesn't have a proper airflow pattern. You want it to go up into the breathing zone. Yeah.
What is when I feel like you've confidently stated that you believe you've got the best purifying product on the market, cleaner.
It depends.
Okay. Say more.
It depends. It depends how you define best. It's the best for me. I created Jasper, no focus groups. I made the Jasper that I wanted for my family, caring about design and aesthetic and quiet and responsive and no Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and no EMF. To someone else, they might love apps on everything. They might have Google and Apple Home, and I can't tell them they're wrong. For me, it's not my style. So I prefer steel and things that last 25 years over plastic.
Yeah.
Some people don't care. So I can't tell them that they should care.
Yeah.
So if someone values the cheapest product, we're not the best. If they don't value aesthetic, you can make an amazing DIY air purifier that will clean the air almost as good as Jasper for $150 at Home Depot.
It's just gonna be ugly.
It's just gonna be ugly. But that's way better than getting some crap from a big box store for $300 that's plastic, that breaks, and the company offers you shit support and it doesn't even work. So if people out there, what you should do is, if you are super budget conscious, but you live in a wildfire zone or you have bad allergies, you want something for your room, Google DIY air purifier. There's something called the Corsi Rosenthal box. No matter how many times I see it, I don't know if it's a C or a K, but Google will straighten you out. Corsi Rosenthal box. CORSI. And it will show you how to take a box fan and a bunch of filters and make a DIY air filter. So it won't automatically detect things in real time. But you know what? If you're cranking it in your bedroom on a high fan speed for white noise and clean air, or you live in an area prone to wildfire smoke, it's still, at least it cleans the air and it works really good.
Yeah.
So Jasper is the best for the customer who wants the design, they want the aesthetic, they like that it's made from steel, they like that it's very industrial, no washing filters, you change it twice a year.
Yeah.
I made it designed to be simple, because changing filters every few months and bright lights and apps is just not my style.
Yeah.
So it's really the best for me as a restoration guy who wants something that looks good.
Yeah.
And because we only make one product, we don't make 10 things, we don't make water filters, we have one product. We can't, people say, can you make a smaller one? No, a smaller one would be an ineffective one. So I travel with mine. I ship it to the hotel before I get there. I then use it for air awareness to show the hotel how crappy their air was before.
Smart.
But the thing is, because we made it so industrial in its commercial, like in its performance, it's designed to last 25 years.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? We can give you a lifetime warranty. Sometimes they break. So as soon as it breaks, we can ship you a brand new one. You take the new one out of the box. You put the old one in the box. We give you a prepaid shipping label, and we send UPS to pick it up off your front porch. I hate when I have a product with a warranty and I can't speak to anybody on the phone. I can't communicate with anybody. They want me to have a weird shaped box, go to FedEx, pay $100 in shipping, waste half my day when the product that they sold me broke. That's a big breach of trust. How can I then buy their products again and tell people about it? So to us, it was just focus on one thing. Really, at our core, we're an air education company who also happens to make the scrubber.
Yeah.
So that's just where we're positioned, and that's how we're different. So it's the best for me and people who value the same things that I do.
Yeah. Well, that makes total sense. And I think it's the best for the kind of people that consume our content and material. They care about those things. I think a huge bonus there is not that it's so obnoxious and bright for sleep and that it doesn't have EMF and Wi-Fi. Like, these are all things we talk about optimizing. So I think that's a really cool, unique angle here. I love that you brought that back up about being an education company that just happened to make a product, because you said it off air, and I wanted to come back to that. The education piece is obviously very, very important, right? Why isn't it more common knowledge that the air inside of our homes could be slowly killing us, to sound dramatic?
I think it goes back to that fact that the human body is so good at adapting to a horrible environment, to a toxic lifestyle, to shitty food. Like, thrive, no. But in 2025, we thrive. This is the year to start thriving and stop surviving. And I just feel that because the hunger doesn't, you can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air. For me, I argue that air is much more important than food. And it's not that food's not deeply important, but if I have no food, but I can breathe, I can go find some food. I trust my ability to forage, to navigate, to hunt, to do what I got to do, to go acquire myself some food, find a river, get some water. If I breathe, I trust myself to figure this out. If I don't have air, there's no getting food or water. It's lights out. So in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of need, if you can only go a couple minutes without air, it would be so frustrating. If we were too air aware, we could all drive ourselves absolutely mad. Mm-hmm. The good news is outdoor air, it is polluted and stuff, but it's pretty good still.
Right.
It's getting worse.
Is that the case in like busy cities too? Like if you go downtown Manhattan, for example, is it just a toxic soup of God knows what? Or is it still generally pretty good because it's outdoor and it's being filtered?
It's bad, but the indoor air is worse.
Yeah.
Because that toxic soup is going into your home, and now it doesn't have sun, wind.
Yeah.
The greatest UV light of all time is the sun.
Yeah, yeah.
Then wind is the river, and rain and trees are like the filter washing it all out. So you can still get a really good clean air day in New York City. It's not always bad, especially when the wind is flowing. When the air itself is flowing, it's not so bad. 1,000 times better than being indoors. So, yeah, outdoors is better than indoors.
Yeah.
Because we got the filtration. We got the flow.
Yeah. Where do you see like the future of this in things like schools and medicine and all of that stuff? Like that's got to be super important, right? For kids focusing and this ADHD epidemic and all of this stuff. Like, why aren't we using this in these institutions?
Well, we're starting to.
Okay.
So there's a few big things that Jasper is doing to place bets to raise air awareness.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing we just did 2 weeks ago, we went to Miami. There's a hotel called the Carillon Wellness Hotel, and we brought 180 Jaspers. We put one in every hotel room. Every massage therapy room is about 28 of them. And we gifted about 40 staff Jaspers to take home so they could experience. Our job here is to raise air awareness and awake people up to the importance of air and that they've been living in dirty air and how much it can profoundly impact their life. Then once they get air awareness, the rest is up to them. Now they're like, what else wasn't I aware of?
Yeah.
So it becomes a big awareness journey in general.
Yeah.
So the hotel was one to get big sleep data, let people, thousands of people there a year are having that touch point. 2 is because of the improvement of sleep and recovery, we're now starting to work with a lot more athletes who are using it as a recovery. How crazy is this? You got football teams that have quarterbacks making $70 million a year, and they are good with their curfews. They don't want them getting drunk the night before the game. They want their nutrition all dialed in, but they're breathing moldy, chemical-filled air all night long the day before. When I travel, and basically every sports team stays at like the Four Seasons, the Ritz. They have a few that they all stay at. Well, I've tested all the air there. It's horrible too. Right. So literally these players are recovering and preparing in these toxic little boxes. So a lot of athletes, when they start Jasperizing their air, they're recovering way more. It becomes undeniable as a recovery tool for them. A lot of athletes are buying them and using them, and it's spreading rapidly right now throughout professional sports. So that's a big one because it shows you sometimes these things start at the cutting edge athlete, then they work their way back to everybody.
Right.
On the school side, so my daughter, when she's 5 now, but when she was 2.5, we sent her to daycare, And man, she started coming home congested every single day. Read online a little bit, talk to the doctors. They're like, this is normal. Your kid's supposed to stay chronically ill between like 2 and 7. They need to get every infection known to man to build up their immunity. I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like the fact that she's in an airtight box with 17 kids and 2 diaper pails and Glade air plugins and Clorox and windows that don't open. I don't think this is supporting her vitality. So anyway, we switched her school, and I got a Jasper into the new school, and she stopped getting sick. What a surprise. Because so much of our transmission is through air. It's not all spit, right? It's not all spit and STDs.
Yeah.
We share air right now. The same way if we lit an incense, we'd both smell it.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a room with someone, you are literally sharing air with them. So in a school environment, if a kid is sick, and kids are often very dirty, and they're breathing and they're sneezing, the kids all get sick.
Mm-hmm.
Then the teachers get sick. And I'm like, this is fucked up. One Jasper in there really started fixing the problem. Now they have 5 in there. So I was starting to be like, this matters. Then I found out about a study done in Finland where they put an air purifier in half the classes across a bunch of schools. And they had about a 30% decrease in absenteeism in teachers and students.
Wow. Also,
they've done tests with air quality on chess players. Chess players do more game theory optimal moves. Chess, poker, SAT scores are all vastly improved and directly correlated to the quality of air.
Mm-hmm.
Because air is the fuel. Your car engine works on air. Your plants run on air. You run on air. So naturally, if there's fresh air, low carbon dioxide, oxygen's coming in, that air is filtered, you're just performing at a much higher level.
Yeah.
Just like a performance car needs a performance air filter.
Yeah.
So does your body.
Yeah.
So now what we recently done, so we just bought a school actually here in Austin. It's going to open next August. It's called Kindling Academy. It'll be a not-for-profit. But what we're doing is we're saying, whoa, Finland kind of showed us what we needed to know to go all in. And we couldn't find a good, healthy school for our kids. They were either fully nature-based, but like not really teaching them anything, which was probably great for their younger years.
Right.
Or they were like AI, crazy academia, totally like it was hard to find the right balance. We're like, why can't they like learn individually, work with their classmates, and also have a healthy environment? So what we're doing is 2 Jaspers in every class, whole building water filtration, good lights that match the circadian rhythm, no toxic cleaning products, huge screened in porches so they can still have shade and keep the bugs out if it's buggy, but still be indoor, outdoor, that hybrid space. Default is outside. Outdoor classrooms too. We'll have indoor spaces, but we're default outside. And through that, we're going to be very closely benchmarking our absenteeism, our sick rates, our symptoms, all of it. Because I know that these kids are going to perform amazing. And they're going to be way healthier. And then we also got a incredible chef. He's actually done some school projects around here. But he's going to come and build out our food program. So we'll have all locally sourced, organic food, high quality cooking, and bake into the school curriculum. We're going to make nutrition cool again.
Yeah.
And then that will also lead to the parents getting nutrition classes. And then the parents can either have dinner at school at the end of the day or come pick up healthy dinner for their families. So everything we're doing in the school is also being taught to come into the 4 walls of the home. So if most people are spending a third of their life sleeping, the other third is either in school or at work.
Right.
So if we can die, and then the third is everywhere else. But let that be the toxic third on and off. We can handle a bad third.
Yeah,
but
right.
If our 2/3 is super dialed in, we're good. So, dude, Kindling Academy. We're just getting started on Instagram and websites and been raising the awareness. And if you're in Austin, check us out. But no matter where you are, we're going to be sharing everything we do, benchmarking the health statistics. And the reason it's called Kindling Academy is there's a lot of the school itself is called Kindling Academy because there's so many great sparks.
Yep.
And there's also these big logs.
Yep.
But the sparks need kindling to start fire. And once we have the fire, we can pile on the big logs. So the idea is every child has a spark. And by just giving them the kindling, no crafting, we're not trying to architect your child, but we're going to give them a little bit of kindling and a little bit of oxygen and let their fire grow as it may. And then also, because we're going to open source everything we're doing, we're going to teach other schools how to implement the practices and the philosophies and the air and the water and all that, gift them Jaspers and do stuff like that. If anybody out there runs a school or knows a good school, hit us up. We would be more than happy to get clean air into your school on us.
It's incredible, man. And I love the kindling analogy as it extends larger into this cultural moment we're having here. Like, hey, you want to talk about make America healthy again? Why don't we start with the kids? Why don't we start with schools? Why don't we give an example? Why don't we start a fire that burns the whole system down, to sound dramatic? Because the whole system right now is kind of broken. We need some trailblazers, literally, to say, hey, there's a different way of doing this. It reminds me, I had Abel James on the podcast a month or two ago, and he worked on a project in a past career of his that they did this huge intervention in schools where they just changed the food. And that was a big one because food's massive, right? But they didn't even look at the water or the air, but they just changed the food. And they could demonstrate reliably that it increased performance scores by just in incredible amounts. And now if you take the food piece, the water piece, the air piece, I imagine that's just going to outperform your generic quote unquote normie school by orders of magnitude.
It will be I don't personally track my sleep. I don't track a lot of that stuff because my favorite review we can ever get from a Jasper customer is, I've owned lots of air purifiers before. Truth is, I didn't know if they were working.
Yeah.
With my Jasper, it's undeniable. I see it and I feel it. So when we got to a place where you need a lab result to tell you how you feel, this is a big problem. Undeniable products. When you get in the sauna, it was hot. You don't need the thermometer.
Yeah.
The cold plunge, it's undeniable. So when products actually work, it becomes quite undeniable. And I think that's the place where people should start with business, is just get an exceptional product that's undeniable. And then when you get it out there, the rest of the outcomes take care of themselves. So with the school, the cool thing is a couple Jaspers, a whole home water filtration system, better. It sounds fancy. We're not even talking about a big investment. If a school has, 5 classrooms, 5 or 10 Jaspers, so you could get all your air, your water, your lighting, and everything dialed in for 10 or 12 grand. That's one student for 6 months. So these are. Same with the homes that are built poorly. To build a healthy home is not to build an expensive home. It's to build a thoughtful home. Things that are better don't often cost money. It just takes thought and awareness. It's not that you need to do everything so differently. You just have to pay more attention.
Yeah, right.
And so with the schools, it will be undeniable. So we will measure it, and the data will just be so overwhelming that way, because it's undeniable for the people who are there. With kids' attention, with their sleep, with their focus. We can see it with our kids. If any of the 1-3 things is off, if they're eating a bunch of crappy food, they're all off. Yeah. They can't emotionally regulate. They can't sleep. When we were giving them poor water, when we started going to spring water, they started crushing water and being way more balanced. If their air, water, food, light, and time outdoors is dialed in, they're great. They don't even ask. No kid ever is playing outside and asks for an iPad.
No.
iPad is an indoor request.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
It was really, you reminded me of my son right now. My wife is homeschooling him. He is 5 years old, and weather permitting, which is almost always, especially at this time of year, it can be done outside, and it's awesome. And he focuses even on the school task and the learning task way better. Whenever it has to come indoors because there's a storm going on, she says within 2 minutes of him having to focus on a task, he's just yawn over and over and over again. The same thing does not happen outside. So I'm wondering, number one, is it an air quality issue in the home that's, causing him to have to kind of try and get rid of some CO2 or something? Number two, just again, that more natural lifestyle of being outside, sunlight, fresh air is just the fuel that you need to thrive. And when you're trying to learn something, you're asking the brains to develop new pathways and learn skills. They're requiring a lot of fuel. And of course, his nutrition's dialed in and all of that stuff. He's a kid, so he's not perfect and he doesn't need to be. No. They're resilient. But that's just a really interesting thing that it reminded me of. And I can see normie school environments adopting something more like this holistic back to nature approach. And how could it not win? How could it not be just so significantly better?
So the fun thing is, I'm glad you mentioned the normie schools, because I've learned here in Texas and probably the whole country, but the schools are funded by an attendance. So that's why they get pissed at a public school if your kid doesn't go to school. There's truancy laws, and that you can't travel, you can't take your kids out. That's because it kills their funding. So the incentives say, come here, be on time, be there every day. We'll even send you buses to make it easy to get your kids here.
Right.
We'll make sure they're here. We won't lose them. At least not today. And if you think about the fact that That's how I love. So what I love for like bringing it to Jasper for a second, the fact that giving and gifting our product because it works is this. It's a circle of air. It's better than any marketing. So if you can give the school Jaspers, the kids are impressed. Now the parents are going to buy it for their other kids, for themselves. It's actually a good business move.
Yeah.
It's actually it's way better than any Facebook ad or TikTok ad or dancing girl offering discounts online. The best thing ever is one clean breath at a time and people share it.
Mm-hmm.
So I love when incentives get aligned in the right way. You know, right now with big food, it's like if big pharma, you know, incentives, sick people equals good for business.
Mm-hmm.
When you realize if you think on the country level, though, healthy people is good for GDP, is good for economy. I feel like part of my role here, you know, I was the son of many generations of accounting and business guys and lawyers. So it's kind of that harmonization between good business and what I'm excited about. When we can show that our absenteeism rates are down, let's speak to the schools where they're at. So if we can reduce absenteeism by if Finland got it down by 30% with a crappy air purifier and without dialing everything else in, let's say we get it reduced by 50%, even 30. Now it's actually financially viable. Yeah. Now the schools will start investing resources into healthy buildings, better lighting, better air, outdoor spaces, all of it, because it will actually be profitable.
Yep. Yeah.
That's exciting to me.
That's cool.
So that's the kindling here. If we just open 1 or 2 or 3 schools here in Austin, what are we really doing here?
Yeah. Yeah.
We try to make it for profit, try to make an extra little bit of money. That's not what this is about. What's so cool and our customers get attached to it is all the funding, the profits that the customers who do pay from Jasper, the money pretty much goes to 2 places. It goes to gifting Jaspers to people who know the most, having world-class support, and then things like the school and community stuff. So we're trying to work to a world 100 or 200 years from now where you don't need air purifiers, you don't need water filters, you don't need fancy lights because you're using natural light, you're breathing natural air, you're eating natural food. Technology should actually bring us back there if we pay attention to what really matters. Yeah. And that's the kind of momentum that I'm trying to work towards.
I love it. You may be familiar with the kind of matrix term, the red pill or the blue pill. Mm-hmm. This is like the breath pill. You know, it's the one that opens up the doorway that starts, oh wow, yeah, this air quality thing really did help, and now we've got more money because we're hitting our targets and the incentives change, and now it's like, oh, maybe these crazy people that give us clean air are onto something about the clean food piece and then the clean water piece, and you know that's kind
it's
of
like
a movement
people who
that
say
that
they don't have time to eat good, or they don't have time to go to the gym, or they don't have time to sleep 8 hours a night. But it's undeniable. Yeah. The extra hour of sleep is going to increase your output all day by 20%. Yeah. So that's going to mean a promotion. That's going to mean more job. Maybe you spend less time with somebody, but it's more intentional time. Maybe the hour meeting can become a 40-minute meeting now. Right. So I changed my health investments instead of viewing the gym and the trainer and the food like an expense, because then you're making it one decision at a time. Instead, I view my personal health like a balance sheet. So every dollar I spend on air, water, food, lighting, getting outside, etc., my value goes up. It's compounding like an investment. And through that, everything else becomes easier. Yeah, yeah. Very well said, man. You mentioned a couple of times about more intentional building design. Like if you could transition into a different career, or maybe one of your mad science projects in the future, you wave a magic wand and design the perfect building. What is different? Like, is it a material issue? Is it a design? What is it? All right. So, and now I can mention I just joined a group called the Building Biology Institute. It's a not-for-profit, started in Germany 80 or 100 years ago. It's been in the United States for a couple decades at least. It's the first time in my life I've actually board member of Building Biology Institute. It's the first time I've had credentials. Yeah. I've always just been, a dropout and a street engineer. So now I finally have some big boy.
You're all official now.
Yeah, I have credibility now. So what they do is they're teaching people how to build healthy buildings. They're certifying them in the right building practices, because most people in America are either living in a condo, an apartment, a subdivision, a mass-produced home. And man, it breaks my heart when you're like, America has a housing crisis. We need to build 4 million housing units next year. Well, it starts from language. If we're calling them housing units, kind of sounds like a jail cell.
Yeah, it does. It's not very not very attractive.
Man, there's a term called zoochosis. You heard of this one?
No, but I can see where you're going with it already.
It's the study of what happens to animals in the zoo.
Yeah.
And dude, they get depressed.
Yeah.
They get stressed. They get ADHD, anxiety, inflammation, as opposed to being in the wild.
Carl Jung talked about that as the human animal. He said too much domestication of the animal makes it sick.
So we get zoochosis too.
Yeah.
And if you think about our subdivisions and our apartments, these are zoos. These are our cells. So if the average adult or average person now is spending over 95% of their time indoors, that means an inmate at a maximum security prison that's spending an hour outside a day is getting more fresh air than the average free American.
Yeah, it's tragic.
What the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
So first things first, more time outside, good, right? Which comes from the way, and it's also the home design itself and it's community design. In Europe, they got plazas. They got places to meet, places to go gather. Here we have like your home, your little yard, and the backyard. I'm a big proponent of make your front yard your backyard. If you put the swing set and the pizza oven and the grill and the garden in the front yard, then your neighbors walk by, now it's a thing. Instead of being fear-based and hiding yourself in the backyard. Not the way to do it. So get in the front yard. Don't have a monocrop grass yard. Grow a little bit of food.
Yeah.
A couple tomatoes. Grow something there.
Yeah.
Also, so our communities, we need more plazas. We need more gathering spaces. Let's have parks with pergolas where mom and dad can do some computer work if they so need to. Like, fine, whatever. But more outdoor spaces, more parks, more splash pads, just gathering areas, plazas where food vendors can show up. Europe, Mexico, they do a really good job of this. America doesn't in our master plan communities. We have the playground where the parents hover in a circle around where you can't tell who's the dad and who's the pedophile. And the kids are playing in these plastic tubes. Oh, no. Now they have these 360-degree parks where you have to be able to see every angle.
Yeah.
So the parks aren't even made out of like wood anymore because God forbid a kid might get a splinter. So the parks are not even natural parks. They barely have shade. Is whack. And then our home design is also whack. So, we all want our kids to get off our phones, which really, if you look at your own screen time, maybe take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
So what do you want your kids to do? Let's say they get off the screen. We're in the living room now. All we have is a giant TV on the wall. That's just a big iPhone or a big iPad. Are we going to have some quality family time on the shared phone? Like, what are we doing here? So we got our little backyard. We got no shade. We have all these chemicals and toxins. And then we have ranging screens from small to big. Somehow, if we all watch the big screen together, it's family time.
Yeah, right.
And when you watch the little screen by yourself, it's isolated screen time. So homes just need to be designed a little bit differently. Actually, this place is great. That front area there by the kitchen, that would be a good home design.
Yeah.
Where it's centered around the kitchen. It's centered around natural light. Doesn't have a TV that I noticed. It has a sauna right in there. Like that is a good home design. Your home should kind of be like a gym, and it should kind of be indoor, outdoor, and you should have a huge screened-in porch. Screened-in porches are vastly underrated. I once lived in a 5,500 square foot home, and I would spend all my time on the 400 square foot porch. I wouldn't even go in the home. I would sleep out there often. Like, what do I even need this home for? So it starts from like that level of design of like, how is the space considered with the TV room and the bedrooms? Because then everyone's going to be isolated in their bedroom, then in the TV room, and then off to school and work. And family time became this idea of we sit around a dining table and we chat like the movies, like it's a Socratic discussion or something. But the truth is, especially when you have young kids, nobody wants to sit down inside and eat dinner.
No.
I'm annoyed. They're annoyed. Just put the damn food outside and let them come and go and graze. They'll eat. Trust me.
Yeah.
But it's hard for people to get over that initial hurdle. They have this idea, which just doesn't work. So it starts there. It's not just the air and the water. The lighting's a big deal, right? Less direct, big, bright LEDs and fluorescent. So better bulbs, less bulbs. Lamps are great. All diffused lamps. Awesome. Opening windows. Kitchen range hoods that actually work. Opening your windows is the first step. Ideally not wearing your shoes inside. 95% of shoes have poo on them, and probably 100% have glyphosate. Even if you're not spraying it, you're out there, your shoes bring it in, then that's in your carpet, and then that's in your new environment.
That's
it's
recycled,
in your ecosystem.
right.
That's kicking up like crazy. So better materials for sure. There's things you can do. You can make things mold resistant, but I think a home that breathes is key. So the ERV which is an energy recovery ventilator, just be conscious. if you think about when you're building a home or buying a home, is this home breathing? Is my water filtered? And how do we want to spend our time? How do I imagine a dream day? And you don't have to do a layout the way that they said it does. Just because there's the brackets for the TV there, like we put our couch facing inward on the TV wall. Mm-hmm. Put up a big bookshelf. Have a round table for board games. The way you design the home, we are all a product of our environments. Yep. So optimize homes need to be built thinking that this is for a family to live in, not let's mass produce cheap homes with toxic materials as quickly as we can. And even the way banks work, right? You're on the clock as a builder to build a home in a year before your funding runs out. So it's all about speed. Yeah. So we need the consumers, the stewards of the family, the leaders of the family to say, I'm not buying these generic cookie cutter master plan homes. I need something better for my family. And then we need to educate builders and architects and developers that healthy homes matter. Because when real estate prices dropped 20, 30% since COVID, you know who's not hurting? Healthy home builders. The guys who are building good homes have unlimited demand. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's a lot of people in this country with money and not that much time. Or they want more time. And the number one longevity hack is to have a healthy home.
Yeah, right. Wow. That's cool. I like that. I'm feeling validated a little bit too from some of the crazy things that I've tried to do in my home, just like encourage play mostly because I have small kids. So like mats on the floor and play things and a low to the ground dinner table and instead of chairs having like cushions and things like that. Just let's get on the ground. Let's play. Let's get messy. Let's go outside. Let's have a picnic, and make it fun. And I love all of that. So.
Also, we got this little camping stove.
Yeah.
And it's hot now. It's hot right now in Texas.
It is.
But we are often taking the stove to the park after school.
Yeah.
And then just cooking dinner. Instead of doing it in our backyard, bring the grill to the park or to the lake or whatever.
Yeah.
And you cook there. Great for air quality.
There you go.
The kids are playing outside. It's just a chill pace. Then other people take note, and then you do that for a couple months, and everybody's cooking their dinner outside.
That's right.
And you're making plans. Yeah. It's more like the European Plaza. You don't have to just stand there. You could cook your dinner at the park. No one's going to stop you.
No. And it might just plant the seed that they're like, that's a cool idea. Maybe we should do that next week. And then it's that little tiny ripple effect of change that like you just being like, hey, let's go cook outside today.
Waking up, awakening, awareness, especially awakening. It comes with this like very egotistical spiritual thing. I'm awake. You're not awake. We're awakening. To me, all that means is you're becoming aware, and you're becoming aware that maybe life could be better.
Yeah.
And maybe the way you're doing life isn't the way that it has to be done.
That's right. Yeah.
So to me, waking up is dials, not switches. It's an overall awareness like, oh shit. It's like people need permission to do things. And often that comes from seeing someone that they trust or respect doing it first.
Yeah.
So if everyone's cooking in the park, pattern recognition, mirror neurons. Oh, maybe I could do that too. Oh, wait, that was fun.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just becoming aware and believing in yourself that says, hey, I both want to be surrendering to life and not forcing and control. You don't want to control everything, but know that you do have control over yourself and the decisions you make.
Yeah.
So being aware that you can change where you live, you can change what you eat, you can change your indoor environment. You don't have to do the things the way everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
In fact, normal is usually shit.
Yeah. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. I think that's what we've been like.
Normal's become average.
Yeah.
Instead of normal should be optimal.
Yeah, normal should be great. Normal should be like, oh, we're all thriving. Our health is awesome.
Exactly.
What has become normal is just, it's a misnomer because it's become common. Like we know,
they keep sliding the scale to average.
Of course.
So now it's like, what? Do you have to be like 35% to be obese now?
Right.
They just shove the scale till you have a bunch of obese, sick, normal people.
Yes.
And then they don't get the shame. Man, I had a friend named Alex Wasserman. We were 11 years old. And dude, he was a big boy. And I asked him, how much do you think you weigh? He was in 6th grade, 7th grade, whatever it was. He's like, he thought he weighed 150 pounds. I went on the scale. I weighed 150 pounds. I'm like, how much do you think you weigh? He's like 160 pounds. He went on the scale. It was 202.2. And his freaking jaw dropped. He never went on the scale before.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I didn't have to say a thing. But he's like, I said, who do you think at the school weighs more than that? It wasn't about him anymore. I said, who at the school do you think weighs the most and how much do you think they weigh? And quickly he realized he was the heaviest kid in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he's been on a health kick. He's had his up and downs, but he started running, asking his parents for different food.
Yeah.
He's like, shit, I'm fat. I never got the memo before.
Yeah.
I just was doing my thing. So even at like 11, by having that awareness of like, oh shit, this is a problem.
Right.
That awareness completely shifted the trajectory of his life. And I think sometimes we don't have a scale for everything in life.
Right.
And we don't necessarily get on it. It's easy to avoid the scale. And how many other areas of our life do we not have a scale for to kind of check?
Yeah.
And the same way that doctors were never trained about nutrition, HVAC and home builders were never taught about air quality.
Yeah.
So the very people creating and shaping your environment have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of parallels here.
Oh, for sure, man. And it's kind of, you started the conversation with this idea that we're very reactionary as a culture. We wait for shit to hit the fan before we do anything about it. So we need, like, you can't change anything without the awareness. And that example you just shared was that light bulb moment where he finally became aware of like, oh, this is unacceptable for me and I'm going to do anything. But he didn't get to 211 pounds or whatever it was overnight. It was a steady creep. But because it's a creep, you just become used to it. You think it's normal. The same way that people are slowly getting sick inside of the homes, thinking it's totally normal, until 10 years later, they go in and you've got this autoimmune disease or this diagnosis of cancer. And they're like, oh shit, now we've got to do something about it. I think moving to something like a proactive view of all of this stuff as opposed to a reactive one is the ideal future that we need to live in. And it's exactly these conversations like, what are you drinking? What are you breathing? What are you eating? And don't wait for shit to hit the fan. Like, why don't we do that now?
You don't need I'm all for cold plunge, red light therapy, biohacking, and all that stuff. But somehow, like, wellness used to mean clean living.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's meant supplements for a lot of people,
right,
and not food supplements.
Yeah.
So supplements, the whole term is supplementary.
So the lifestyle.
It's not supposed to be the primary.
Mm-hmm.
And lifestyle, the same way wellness got hijacked by this other stuff, lifestyle got hijacked by fancy cars on Instagram. Lifestyle is not that. It's how you live your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, get some sun. So, and I think sun deserves just as much love of the food and the water and the air, yeah, and the time outdoors. Like, it's totally a key pillar as well. But like, once you do that, then you can kind of dial in and see where we're at and where we need to supplement things and what levers we needed to. But the thing is, like, the 80-20 of all this, it doesn't need to be, people get complicated. If I don't do my 2 journals, my breath work, my coffee enema, my 3 red lights, I'm stressed because I didn't do my ultimate wellness routine. It's like, yo, just like, you can act, less is more here.
Yeah, yeah. Productivity purgatory. It's like people get stuck in this, like, I have to do the 11-step Andrew Huberman morning routine, otherwise I'm a failure. When the secret to most of life is just chill the fuck out and take a breath, go put your feet in the grass, eat clean food, connect with your lover, talk to your kids, get off your bloody phone a bit. You know, that stuff is great. But when it becomes suffocating because you need to do all of the hacks, it's an unhealthy obsession with health.
Don't start with the hacks.
Yeah, don't start with the hacks. And even like biohacking, I don't like that term. And I like some of the tools inside of the biohacking movement. Red light devices are awesome. But the ultimate red light, sunlight. Yes. And I much prefer this term bioharmonizing. How can we harmonize with nature? And I feel like this is a bioharmonizing device. This is like you're understanding the complications that are present in modern home environments, and you're providing a technological solution to those, whilst also saying the best thing you can do first and foremost is open your windows, protect your health. This is icing on the cake, and it's not going to solve all of your fucking problems if you're not doing the other stuff well as well.
If you can move to the Amazon, do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's all go there.
If you can't, and you're going to live in an urban environment, your air sucks, and there's solutions for these things.
There you go.
So to me, biohacking, the purpose should be, how can we get our indoor thermally comfort environments to be as close to outside as possible?
Yeah.
That's the goal. We want the air to be as close to outside as possible. We want the water to be like how it used to be a couple hundred years ago, and same with the air. So we don't need to do additives and ionizers and UV lights and fragrances and essential oils and all those things. You actually you want it to be in its most natural state.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's why Jasper, our logo is a tree.
Yeah.
It's a tree in a mountain, because tree is the actual original air purifier.
Yeah.
Scrubber.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap this one up, just kind of putting it back on you and closing the floor, call to action to where people could go to investigate Jasper, and also like just reaffirming and really bringing this one into land of like why they should give a shit about the quality of the air in the homes.
So I don't have to tell anybody why they should care. You know why you should care. If you are already sleeping 8+ hours a night and you wake up, if your energy is perfect and you don't ever experience brain fog and your body's working like a well-oiled machine, then maybe don't make any changes. you could maybe stop listening to this podcast because you got it all figured out.
Turn it off. You're good.
Yeah, get off your phone, guys. But if you see an opportunity, I love this saying. It was by a really fat guy, but he said, Jasper is the laziest way to be healthy. He was just honest with himself. He's fat and honest. He's like, I am not looking to optimize my diet or exercise. But you know what? Those things take willpower for him. But he's like, filtered water and filtered air, it takes no willpower.
I can do that.
So it's a couple of those. You don't have to get in the sauna. You don't have to make time for it. It will make time for you. So it's one of these things that, wow, it can be that profound and impact my thing for not that much money. And it just works while I sleep. Most of the health things take your willpower to drive the car, not this.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And
That
if you
is.
could turn your bedroom into a clean air sanctuary, turn your home into a clean air sanctuary, instead of having indoor air that's 5 times dirtier than outdoor air, you should have air that's 5 times to 10 times cleaner than outdoor air. And that's what my home is. There's no dust. There's minimal mold. It's a clean air sanctuary, and people notice when they come over. So we've said enough about that. Do you guys ever should I make a discount code or something? Do people ever do that?
Yeah, we'd love it if we could do that. We can come up with it on the spot. We can drop it in the show notes.
What's a good code?
Radical Health.
Is that too long, or is that people are used to that?
Yeah, people
Used
to that. Yeah,
I guess we're smart people. We can spell.
we can
can
figure
spell
that out.
2 long words. All right. So I don't know what day this comes out.
Yeah,
But we don't need to know. Starting today, the code Radical Health will be $400 off Jasper.
boom. Look
So
at
Jasper's normally $11.99. This is $7.99. It is our biggest deal of the year. This is the same offer we made on Black Friday last year.
Yeah,
However, we got back ordered for 3 or 4 months.
that. Okay.
So instead of waiting till then, this is the same thing. So it is my commitment to you that you will never see Jasper for a lower price than
That's
this
so
anywhere
cool.
ever. And only for you, the loyal listeners who are paying attention here, this deal will be for. So for 2 weeks starting today, Radical Health will be $400 off. After that, it'll be still $200 off forever. And as I mentioned, we have a lifetime warranty, and we call it the life-changing guarantee. So if you put Jasper in your bedroom on fan speed 2 or fan speed 3, or you put them in your home and you're not finding a profound difference, we will take it back. I just ask, please, it'd be convenient if you kept your box for the first month. That would make our life a lot easier. Please do that. After that, truth is, you're going to know after the first sleep, holy shit, this is a big deal. So code Radical Health, $400 off for 2 weeks. After that, it'll be $200 off. So at the very least, I hope people got air educated a little bit more, more air aware, pay more attention. If you bless your food, bless your water, bless your air, the offer, if you have any questions for us, message us on Instagram, email us. We're here to help.
I love it, dude. The product's awesome. The mission is great. Everything that you're doing with the schools in the future is just incredible. I'll be watching very closely and doing everything we can to cheer you guys on, and let's make people healthy. That's what it's all about.
Thanks for having me at your beautiful campus. This place is amazing.
Cool. Thank you. You lot get that looked after. Come on, check it out, and we'll see you next week. Peace out. All right, friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Radical Health Radio. We got a fresh new podcast for you every Wednesday. If you enjoyed the show, consider liking, subscribing, reviewing, and rating us on your podcast platform. It helps to spread this message of radical health. We'll see you next week.